Thanks for coming by. Thank you for coming. It's Amy Warenberg. She's finance director. County finance director. She's there doing.
Brendan, you want to keep these?
I want to give everyone the opportunity to stay or go if they wanted. Our agenda tonight is brief, but we did want to come together and talk about some major projects on the city end that we wanted to perhaps have some discussion with the commissioners concerning decisions that you'll be making, decisions we will be making, and just make sure that everyone is aware. I know you've been hearing rumbles about these kinds of things all along, but we wanted to come together and talk about them. The first is our wastewater treatment facility upgrade. I'm going to defer the discussion on that to our city manager and assistant city manager. They have the details on that project, so gentlemen, if you'll take the floor.
Sure. Did Tommy just
Tommy took his 5.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize he was out.
Just a couple quick things. This project, we're doing this through the CMAR process, and I apologize in advance for anything that's going to be redundant over what Tommy goes over. Can everybody hear me all right? Hello? Okay. Gosh, sorry. We're doing what's called a CMAR project, which means Construction Manager at Risk. So we're looking, we're using a relationship with the contractor and with our engineer, and we're basically developing and going through the planning of the project. We're at 60% completion on design at this point, and basically Tommy will be able to better speak to the numbers in a moment. But we're in a contractual obligation with this construction manager, and they're basically going to act as our GC essentially. So they're going to be our general contractor, but they'll bid it out to other firms that will come back to us with a price point. This is a huge opportunity for cost savings doing this approach. So that's why the City Council has elected to go that route. As you guys have probably heard, the price tag has been pretty significant, and the reasoning for the project is something that was kind of passed down to us from Diener. So without much more, Tommy, I just basically went over what the CMAR is and that we're at 60%. Would you like to take the floor from here?
I guess my question is, what's the question?
Well, they just wanted to know basically some general overview of what our project is and why we're doing it.
The wastewater treatment plant gets a NPDES permit from the state every 5 years. In 2014, when the permit was renewed, they changed the limits on ammonia removal. The plant, as designed and operated, would not remove the amount of ammonia needed and did not meet those requirements. So we had to upgrade the plant, or in the process of upgrading the plant to meet the required ammonia removal. We hired Peace Associates, which has merged with Labella, to do a study in 2015 to determine the most feasible way to do this. Also on the horizon is phosphorus removal. So what we looked at was a process that would remove ammonia and then easily be adapted to remove phosphorus as well. We also got an extension from the state to 2019, which is the next permit to meet those requirements. So we are at a point now where we're in the process of designing the facility. We had the study done, we looked at 5 options. The oxidation ditch is the one that we chose. It was the most cost effective, and it also was the one that provided the best option of removing phosphorus in the future. So we then, with the help of Labella, we decided to do what's known as a CMAR process, the Construction Manager at Risk. We have signed a contract with Garney Construction Incorporated to basically manage the project for us. But what they're going to do, in addition to managing the project, the design process is now at 60%. some other cost-saving measures. When you have a 5 million gallon a day plant in operation that has to stay in operation, when you go to add on to it and build it, you gotta make sure there are no conflicts that shuts the plant down, especially for an extended amount of time. Garney has the experience to know from building other plants that they look at from a constructability standpoint. So they are at 60% going to give us a price, an estimate of what it's going to cost to build this plant and the constructability. We will then take that information, and basically we'll become a team of 3 of us, develop the city of Garney, and we will then move forward to the 90% plans. They will then review the plans again at 90%, plus while they're reviewing the plans, they're looking for any cost savings, and they will give us an estimate. At that point in time, the city has the option to do away with the CMAR process. If we don't do away with the CMAR process, then Garney will give us a guaranteed maximum price. If the job goes over that price, Garney has to foot the bill. Garney cannot do the work, they basically have to sub it out. So that's kind of where we're at. The reason we're doing it is to meet the NPDES permit that's required by the state, and we have to have this thing up and running by the fall of 2019. Any questions?
What happens if it isn't open up, like the state can't just cut the water off and supply to the city?
No, they won't cut it off. They'll issue an SOC, and basically they will prevent the city from having any new connections, water connections, sewer connections, no customers, no growth until you get this deal. Also, depending on where we're at in the construction stage, we can probably ask for an extension.
Now, if you look at the city, is that a fee that's assessed to the citizen? And you charge like a wastewater fee, water bills,
I mean, we have the water bill that everybody gets.
So, the management that y'all.
We're not charging anything extra for this kind of thing.
What would be the cost of building a new type plant versus the cost of renovating while you're running on the existing plant?
A new plant to handle 5 million gallons like this.
And keeping the existing plant in place until you get the new one finished, and then retrofitting the old plant?
Well, a new plant's gonna run you about 50 to 60 million this day time. So you're looking at spending 50 to 60 million, and then if you wanna retrofit this plant, you're looking at another 15, 17 million.
Because looking at the numbers where we just heard from EDC, are we capable of using those numbers to complete the wastewater treatment that they're asking for versus, and along with our existing residents?
Well, the plant is rated at 5 million gallons a day. The plant is actually doing about 2 million gallons a day, so we have a 3 million gallon a day surplus. What they know though here for this facility was about a 3.25 million, up to maybe a 2 million gallon wastewater.
So it put us right on the edge.
So we would be still within the 5 million gallons. The way the state works is when you reach 80% of capacity, you have to start planning for construction. When you reach 90% of capacity, you're supposed to start construction. So if we did 10, that's going to put us at 80%, we'll have to start looking and planning for an expansion.
Which is basically the same as building a new plant.
Well, it depends. It could depend on how much we want to expand the plant. We could possibly go in there, change some processes, and use a lot of the existing infrastructure and still treat 6 million gallons a day.
Well, what if you need to get to 10? What are you looking
10,
at?
you're gonna be building a brand new plant.
Now, you talking about a total, completely new site, everything, or are you going,
Well, that's
Use-
the interesting question. When we get to 10 million gallons, it's going to depend on where the flow's coming from. It may be advantageous to find a different site. The way the rules are now, especially with the watersheds and the river basins, you don't want to stay in the Roanoke River Basin. So
communities have multiple plants, like Hickory, for instance, has, I think, 3 options. So that's not completely unheard of.
Have any other questions?
Y'all gonna be able to afford it? Y'all gonna be able to afford it?
We don't have a choice.
We will be.
We don't have a choice.
No,
We just have to. We gotta figure out a way to do it.
I'm asking.
He's asking.
This time.
Smart ass.
How
Not
can,
enough money.
Well-
how can the county help?
That's exactly what we need.
I'd like to make a proposal, no, I don't want to make a proposal, I want to bring up an idea. And I've talked to a couple of people about it, and I hope that it'll be something that we can work together with and we can move forward with. But one of the things that's unique to Person County is that we've got one county and we've got one city, and we don't have multiple municipalities within the county. And one of the things that I'd like to throw out there is a partnership where the county could come in and help out, and we would be a part of the decision-making factor. And to do that, I would propose, if we could get to there, that we combine our services, that we combine our councils, and we become one. We don't have 4 different municipalities that we have to deal with to do something like this. So to do this, I would propose in the end, I'm not proposing now, but I would propose in the end that we go from a 5 commission board to a 7 commission board. 2 of the commission members would have to come from within the city. The other 5 could be at large, so more could come from within the city if they were voted in that way. So 5 would be at large, 2 would be from within the city municipality, and then this 7-member board could combine resources and combine services, cut cost, and then share in the revenue and share in the cost. And I'm throwing that out there as just a suggestion, and I think it's only fair that if the county's going to come in and help with cost and things of that, we should also be able to share in revenue and some decision-making that goes on within the city.
Can I say one thing?
Sir?
We already have a joint agreement with the county on extending water and sewer lines out of the county. And part of that joint agreement is that for the water and sewer lines the county puts in, they do get 25% of the revenue from those lines. So we do have some revenue sharing mechanisms in place.
25% of the tapping fee and not the,
25% of the monthly bill as well.
I didn't understand it that way.
Also, statutorily speaking, there are certain services that the city can offer and then the county doesn't offer. So there is some division in the general statutes of what specifically we can and can't offer. So there might be some potential problem there. That being said, I wanted to answer a little bit more to the chairman's question here in a second. Chairman,
Sir?
wanted to answer a little bit more to your question as far as funding sources. We're going to be considering every funding source. We're making trips to Raleigh. I know that there's been question about the NC Connect bond. There is a little carve out in there for wastewater infrastructure. We're not sure about what the timetable, if that bond gets approved, what that timetable would even be. But I believe, Tommy, it's LaBella and yourself and maybe myself going to Raleigh next week. Is that correct?
Well, it won't be next week, but it'll be next month.
Next month.
Raleigh is our engineers to discuss different funding options that they have available.
And-
If any.
So to answer your question more pointedly, what we can and cannot afford, at this point, we're at 60% design, so we don't have a strong final number, but we are going to look for multiple funding sources.
Well,
and we'll definitely
I
continue
feel
that
sure you're
too.
gonna do that. My only question was, I I thought the purpose of this meeting was to see how we needed to work together to make that happen.
That was my question. Was this for information only, or are we asking for a consensus if the county is willing to throw some money in? And was it my understanding that the retrofit would cost $15 million? Is that?
It don't benefit both parties.
We received this as strictly informational because there had been little information that had been given to you directly. And I know it had been kind of flying around in various meetings, so it was primarily for information purposes. However, some of us have had some conversations among our boards about the potential for the expansion of this plant to, of course, benefit the county and economic development and all those areas as well. So certainly some financial assistance with a project of this magnitude would be most welcome. What shape or form that takes is going to be up to you. So it's really more about, and I appreciate Mr. Kendrick's option about merging. I think that might be a little ambitious, to accomplish in the time frame we have for this particular project. I think that's a mammoth task to be considered. And anyhow, it's come up before, so just know that it has come up in discussion in years past. So this information is primarily for you to all hear the same thing together, and then be able to offer us any suggestions or.
When do you anticipate the design to be done?
We anticipate going out for bid in January of 2017.
I think it would be prudent for, keep us informed as to, we want to look at funding options for the state and keep us apprised of the situation. I think it's something that some people forget, but residents of the city are county residents too.
Absolutely.
And we do our part to take, just because they live in the city of Roxborough doesn't mean the county should do their best to help them out as well, in regards to vital resource water. I mean, it's a necessity. And so I'm completely open to continue to have this dialogue and just keep us appraised of y'all's situation. And I feel confident that our board will step up if there's any need.
Anything from council?
We not, really, that was not one of our initial ideas was to ask the county to help on this. It just kind of came to us that, well, it might be something, we all, it came to us, it might be something y'all would be interested in. We're always interested in y'all want to help. Fine. We think you take too much of sales tax money anyway, so which brings me to another question at some point.
Are there any other questions regarding the wastewater infrastructure?
The other question came from the council's area where we wanted to hear about your plans for solid waste. I know that there are a number of options on the table. We just hadn't heard anything specific about that and where that was going. So I think we would have the opportunity to ask you questions concerning the management of solid waste.
We voted this morning to proceed to negotiate a contract with Republic. And that does not mean we're going to come out, doesn't guarantee we're going to come out with a contract, but at least we, in my opinion, it's part of the due diligence just to find out what the hell's on the table. And so that is where we're going to proceed to. And if we can come to terms, then we'll have an extended contract.
Could you share some specific criteria you've asked of them?
We've not talked with them.
Oh, you didn't talk to them.
I can share where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, we just, basically this morning, we put forth a proposal to start negotiations with Republic using Smith Gardner as our representative. We have asked to pay them a fee to help renegotiate the contract. One of the things that we talked about this morning was the ability to have a group of people discuss the contract and what we wanted from Republic. And I think one of the things moving forward would be to have a representative or maybe multiple representatives from the city to come and set in on those negotiations so that we can see where we're going and where we're going to get to. There are, in Tracy's eyes, this is Tracy's opinion because I put forth the proposal and probably going to take a lot of heat for it, but we put forth the proposal to move forward, and I think there are a lot of options out there as far as whether we're going to ask Republic to do more recycling for us as a county, what we're going to allow to be put in the landfill, what the cost for tipping fees are, how long the contract's going to be, and things of that nature. And one of the reasons that we asked Ms. Smith Garner to help us with this is because they have been on contract negotiations before. They announced this morning that they'd only been in on a couple of franchise agreements, but they at least bring more knowledge to the table on contract negotiations than Tracy Kendrick does as a Duke Energy employee that happens to be a county commissioner.
Our first approach is going to be to meet with them and try to let them educate us as to what we can anticipate. And we, since we're all dealing with a lot of ignorance on negotiating something like that, we need to get better educated on what we can ask for and anticipate to get back. And, you know, if they come back or if the contract doesn't represent what we want to try to achieve, then we may have a problem. But I'm not going to say we're going to arrive at a contract, but I'm sure we will, of some sort. Then at that time, we'll proceed with trying to pass it. But from my standpoint, what I'm more interested in right now is just getting educated on what questions to ask and what to ask for, and with some kind of anticipation of what maybe the answer might be. You know, we don't want to go in there and say, well, we want $5 million a year, take it or leave it. I mean, you know, although that may be reasonable, I don't know that at this point. But you know, so we've got to educate ourselves, and Smith Garner is going to come back, and we're going to have a closed session with them to let them try to educate us on the different possibilities. At that point in time, we'll get with Republic and see what they're looking for, and then try to work it out.
Was your decision unanimous?
No.
No.
Did the dissenters have another position?
We had 3 options on the table, and 2 of them elected to go with a different option. But it was a 3-2 vote. But that's where we stand on solid waste at the moment. Now, the current franchise runs out in August of 2017. Mr. Aycock has been in touch with some people that negotiated the contract with New Hanover, Wake County, and Guilford County. And he's hoping to come back with a copy maybe of their contract, so that would give us some ideas to what to try to expect. Ray and I met with Greg Duhon a couple of weeks ago and tried to get the ball started anyway as far as communication. This is one of the larger landfills, land size wise. I don't think the full site's been permitted, but for what they have permitted, they project that the life of the existing landfill is somewhere around 30 years.
At the existing tonnage.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you increase the tonnage, it'd be shorter. But that's on what they already have permitted. They've got more land to expand if that's available in the future. So anybody else got anything to offer?
Anything from council? Questions?
Are you looking at changing the present contract you have, or are you going to start over? Or are you
Well, from my standpoint, I'm basically starting from scratch, because I don't know, from reading the current contract, I'm very disappointed in what we've had to live with for the last 17 years. But, you know, until we get a better working knowledge of what we can expect, we don't know, we can't really answer a question with any kind of substance to it, because we don't know what, we're really speaking in the dark. So we fully intend to get educated to some degree, and then when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, we'll get us an attorney that will take us to the promised land.
Yeah, and part of the negotiations are going to be to try to figure out what the residents of the county needs, what the city needs are, and move forward with that, because I know a lot of the county residents are looking for more recycling and things of that nature. And so the more you put clauses within the contract itself, the less amount you're going to get for your tonnage, because Republic would have to provide those services. And so I look from a Tracy standpoint is that we need to look at what all of the residents of Person County are wanting. And if a lot of them are wanting more recycling, then we possibly negotiate with Republic to do more recycling than what they are, because I've been told on numerous occasions that there's a mission policy that we be at certain percentages of recycling within the county that we've never met. And so things like that we ask for, favorable tipping rates are going to be things that you could throw into the contract, and all of those affect the final contract on what the county gets back in franchise fees. So we need to get together as a group, make a decision, make an informed decision on where we're going to go and how we're going to get there, and then we move forward with that. The last thing that I would like to say is that the proposal was put forth not to expand the landfill, because I continue to hear the word expand the landfill, but we didn't ask to expand the landfill. All we asked was to continue the franchise agreement with the contracted amount of usage that we currently have now. So if anybody asks, we are not asking to expand the landfill. We're renegotiating the franchise agreement with Republic for the existing amount of tonnage that we can get to the 30-year cycle of whatever it is.
But on the flip side of that, you can expect Republic to ask for more tonnage.
Possibly.
No, that's guaranteed.
They would be illegal company and ask more.
Right.
On your contract, with
Franchise agreement.
franchise agreement, will you be acting for county dumpsters?
We don't know
We
yet.
don't know. We haven't
Anything,
gotten
any
there
and
yet.
everything is on the table as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of talk about county dumpsters, a lot of traffic is out in the county, that could be in dumpsters.
Well, that's what we want our consultant to come back with, is some ideas.
That's right. That was part of what I was saying, that is, the more things, if you negotiate convenience centers where Republic runs and they come by and pick up that trash from that convenience center, then you negotiate away part of the money that you get from the franchise. So anything that it's kind of like, it's hard to come up with a scenario, I guess, but anytime you ask for something, you get less somewhere else. So you take it out of a 5-gallon bucket, you put it in another 5-gallon bucket, you still only got 5 gallons.
My question is, we're afford to lose that down.
I think,
You're talking about big dollars, if we have to ship it to Oxford, in Oxford.
Granville.
Granville County.
Granville, Middle, Home New.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not building it just for the heck of it.
No, it's
They
already
build it
built,
like
they
that.
just started building.
It's
It's already
already up
built.
and running.
You know,
well, that was my decision to put forth the proposal, because I looked at the whole layout of what we have now versus what the three options were. Option number one was to renegotiate the contract with Republic, and that was the proposal that I made. Option number two was to ship it to Granville County, which is 30 miles further from the existing site than where it is now. And number four was to set up transfer stations within the county and take it from the transfer stations to possibly Granville County or Danville or somewhere like that. And looking at all three of those options, in Tracy's personal opinion, the best option was to renegotiate the franchise agreement with the existing dump.
Start hauling all over the country. Somebody's gonna pay for it.
So why were there two votes for the other options? I'm just curious to get those opinions.
Well, I voted against this option earlier because I supported option 3, where we would do transfer station convenience centers and haul them to Granville County. I've always been a commissioner that campaigned on quality of life. For me, last time, if I look back, before I got on the board, when they discussed, we negotiated the contract, Republic at that time wanted to do 2,000 tons a day and expand the landfill. And so that's something that I'm not willing to do here in Person County at this time. I'd rather see us do things that we can do to improve the quality of life, not bank it off trash.
I voted against it because the whole process was stated when those people were told down there they wouldn't have that landfill to deal with over 20 years. The 20 years is creeping up on them. You know, people in that neighborhood down there are very concerned about their water and all the other environmental issues that go along with the landfill. So I thought we needed to look at the other option at the transfer stations. Obviously, this is the direction it's heading in, and I'm not going to. At this point, you've got to try to get the best deal you can get out of it, if that's what we're going to do. We don't need a contract like we've got now. Commissioner Newell was right. It needs a lot of improvement.
We probably left $1 million a year on the table for the last 17 years, in my opinion. At the time, it looked like a windfall, but I don't know who negotiated that contract, but it doesn't matter now. That's water over the dam. We just got to proceed from here.
We all have to live with things that went on before.
Oh, yeah.
So
And the
all
next
good
crowd
and
will
bad.
too.
We're the best customer you got, so don't mistreat us.
Well, you know, here again, that's why I want to be educated a little bit on exactly what we can ask for, because it'd be my desire that y'all didn't have to pay a tipping fee. But the reality of that is yet to be seen. So, you know, that's it is done in other areas where the cities don't have to pay a tipping fee. So, you know, from what I understand, that would probably save y'all $500,000 a year, because paying $300 in tipping fee now plus your hauling fee. So, you know, y'all already in the transfer business. It's a long ways down there and back.
We appreciate you talking about putting this group together, want to include at least one or two of us.
Well, you know,
Glad to hear that.
Right.
we're all in the same boat, so, you know.
Well, and I hope we can continue to keep recycling in the conversation. You've got a vested interest in that with your MRF, and certainly making sure it's operating at its full capacity and capabilities is equally, I would think would be as much important to you as the economics of that as it would to accomplish what you want to achieve. with it.
Well, you know, that's something that's going to probably be discussed quite a bit in our budget, because of, you know well how much it costs. And that figure has continued to go up. Now, I went by to see David Forsythe this afternoon, but he wasn't in, but I'll see him tomorrow. And see if we could do some brainstorming as to the possibility of Person Industries doing something besides recycling, because you know what loss exists there. If we can maybe put them in a situation where they're making a profitable product, and the first thing that comes to my mind is food. You know, we can put them in the greenhouse business. We already got buildings. All we got to do is maybe some infrastructure. But if you can raise food at a reasonable cost, you got a market. So, but right now, and it's not Person Industries' fault. It's just the commodity cycle is going to be one hell of a burden on whoever wants to try to do that for at least the next 7-8 years. because we on this side of the curve right now. And until we get back over here, nobody's gonna be able to do anything recycling. So, and, you know, from an expense standpoint, I think the county's probably, in my opinion, it's at the limit of what we can justify. And, I would like to see us, instead of just locking the door, I would like to see us try to do something more constructive. And I think that can be done. All right, has anybody got anything else they want to talk about tonight?
Effective tomorrow, there's a brand new set of taxes that hit, sales taxes that hit North Carolina. That has to do with, I think it's on automotive, labor, and there's a couple other, it's a tax on some service.
Well, when they
Those
start,
taxes,
when they
are
start,
they coming to North, are they coming, they're supposed to come to the more rural counties, not, so it's Person County will be receiving those.
we are, but we don't know what yet.
Okay.
It's been projected that it's about $500,000, but we didn't even, we're not even gonna budget it because we don't know what to expect.
Well, it's kind of the first I'd heard about it was on the news, so it made me wonder.
Well, you know, if they were to, since we are a service economy, you can't put sales tax on just a few things. You're going to put it on everything. That includes shysters, doctors, you know, they generate, that would generate a whole lot of sales tax. Even if you did it like automotive, where you only had a 2 or 3% cap on it. But,
It's a redistribution, it's not a new.
Yeah, and also,
Well-
I mean, it's earmarked for economic development.
well, that's not a new car.
I think
New
it-
car is 3%, I
I
think.
don't know.
These cars, I mean, on the service.
Parts and labor
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
Looking for something else.
And, you know,
I don't
that's
either
just gonna migrate out to a lot of other things. They're gonna throw that at you now and let you get used to it, and then they're gonna hit you with some more.
Well, I just was curious, it mentioned it just for rural counties, I wonder if we counted in that, so we are.
Yeah.
Slated to get.
They're slated to get some
Y'all better make
extra.
sure we get our share of that too.
It's the redistribution, it's not a new tax, right? Right.
All right, the county got anything else they wanna talk about?
Muddy the waters.
Does City want to bring up today for our broadband?
Sure,
Broadband tower?
I'd be happy to. So we have just this morning signed an intent to lease the Mount Tirzah Tower site to the state, and they are going to construct another tower. If you'll recall, we had 4 towers originally slated for this project to construct, and the state has generously offered to construct 2 of them, which to combine, that's $1.2 million in savings that we've realized through that partnership with the state. So we are working on updating, that's changing numbers and timeline in terms of the project, but we're updating the numbers and the estimated, completion date for that project right now, and it should be complete. Those numbers and that feasibility study should be complete as part of our CIP, which will be presented in April.
Where
So-
is that site?
Mount Tirzah, it's at the park, the Mount Tirzah Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one the state is pretty much done. It's at Woodland Elementary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
It's my neck of the woods.
Yep. Okay.
I think I'm the only person here that's from that area. Except Jimmy's sort of closer to Timberlake, but yeah, Mount Tirzah's where I'm from.
Yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else to talk about, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor? Aye?
And a motion from the city council, please? To adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
An hour and 12 minutes.
I'll take it.
sure it would.